Subscribe to the channel and hear even more exciting stories. AITA for canceling my wedding plans because my dad insisted on inviting his brother? Hey Reddit, I'm hoping someone out there can make sense of this mess because I feel like I'm living in a fever dream right now. 28F, just cancel my wedding. Yeah, the whole thing. Gone. Months of planning, thousands of dollars, every spreadsheet, seating chart, tasting menu, just poof. My fiancé, Josh, 30M, is the love of my life and truly my best friend. We've been together for 5 years, lived together for 3, and honestly, we're the couple our friends come to for advice. Or, I guess we were. Now I'm the girl who called off her wedding with a deposit non-refundable sign burned into her memory. Family has always been complicated for me. My mom passed away when I was 19, so it's mostly been dad and me, with the odd appearance from his side of the family. My dad's always been a bit old school, think my way or the highway, but with more dad jokes and less emotional availability. Enter his brother, my Uncle Rick. If you could bottle bad vibes, Rick would be the premium export. He's always been around at holidays, lurking like a storm cloud, and he's the main reason I always volunteered to work extra Christmas shifts. I'm not going to get into all the details yet, but let's just say I have deep, very personal reasons for not wanting Uncle Rick anywhere near my wedding or my life, honestly. Josh knows some of it. My closest friends know more, but it's the kind of stuff that leaves a mark. Growing up, my dad always insisted family came first, even when family was the person who made my skin crawl. There were warning signs, looking back. Little cracks in the happy family veneer, especially when wedding planning started and the guest list came up. My dad kept bringing up Rick, joking that I'd regret it if I left him out. I just brushed it off at first. Rookie mistake. So here's where things go from mildly uncomfortable to, I think I need a therapist on speed dial. About 2 months before the wedding, Dad calls me up and says he wants to talk man-to-man. Classic, right? I tell him, well, this will be interesting since I'm very much not a man, but he just bulldozes ahead. We sit in the kitchen, him fiddling with his coffee cup, and he just blurts it out. Your Uncle Rick is family. He needs to be invited. I freeze. It's like someone pressed pause on my life, except my insides are spinning. I tell him, as calmly as I can, Dad, I can't have Rick at my wedding. You know what? There's a silence that feels about 1,000 years long. Then Dad sighs, looks anywhere but at me, and says, he's my brother. We've all made mistakes. He's blood. He starts listing all the reasons why excluding Rick is unfair, how it'll shame the family, how people will talk. He makes it sound like I'm the one creating drama, like I'm the unreasonable one. It's not just a request. He's basically telling me, point blank, that Rick is coming, end of story. I try to hold my ground. My hands are shaking, and I'm already dreading this turning into one of those arguments that never really ends. I don't feel safe with him there, I say, and my voice comes out smaller than I want. Dad just repeats, he's family, like that's supposed to solve everything. I leave that conversation feeling like I've just been steamrolled. I text Josh, half venting, half pleading for sanity. He tells me we'll figure it out, but even he sounds nervous. For the first time, it sinks in. My own wedding might not be my safe space after all. That night, I barely sleep. My mind is stuck on a loop. Dad's words, the way he wouldn't look at me, and the cold certainty that I'm not the priority here. Shock, hurt, and anger swirl around inside me until I don't know which is which. I keep asking myself, why does Dad care more about Rick's feelings than mine? Does he honestly not remember what happened, or does he just not want to deal with it? Either way, it stings in a way I didn't know was possible. By 3 a.m., I'm lying in bed with my phone lighting up as I scroll through old group texts. There's this horrible, gnawing sense of being alone, even with Josh right next to me. I want to wake him, spill everything out, but I can't find the words. I replay every family dinner, every forced holiday smile, every time Dad pushed me to forgive and forget. It's like every warning sign is flashing at once, all the things I didn't want to see. I'm mad at my dad, but if I'm being totally honest, I'm even angrier at myself. Did I really think he would have my back when it counted? I keep cycling between rage and this almost childish hope that maybe he'll wake up and call me to apologize, to say he gets it now. Spoiler, he doesn't. Josh tries to talk me down when I finally tell him everything the next morning. He's supportive, but I can see the worry lines around his eyes. He doesn't want to make things worse with my dad. And he's right. My relationship with my father is already hanging by a thread. But this is my wedding. My day. Why am I the one expected to compromise with the one person who made me feel unsafe in my own family? I wish I could say I found some calm or clarity, but all I felt was that slow, creeping dread, like the ground was shifting under my feet, and nobody else even noticed. The days after that conversation are a blur of awkward phone calls, forced smiles, and trying to act normal at work when inside I'm basically screaming. I start testing the waters with other family members, tentatively asking my aunt, my cousin, even my grandma if they think it's weird to not invite certain relatives to a wedding. Nobody gives me a straight answer. It's all deflections and nervous laughs. My aunt whispers, "Well, you know how your father is." And my grandma just pats my hand and tells me, "Family is everything, honey." Translation, don't rock the boat. Josh is as supportive as he can be, but I see him struggling to balance being my teammate and not wanting to set my dad off. I lean on my best friend, Lila, who is not so secretly thrilled to finally call my dad out. She tells me, "Your wedding, your rules. Period." She's right, but somehow that makes me feel even more isolated. If it's really my rules, then why does everyone act like they're optional? I try again with Dad, texting him late one night. "Can we talk? I really don't want Rick at the wedding. Please." He calls me back within minutes, voice tight. "We're not doing this again," he says. He's coming, end of story. Click. For the first time, it hits me that this isn't just about the wedding. This is about all the times my feelings were dismissed, all the times I was told to get over it, all the times I was expected to be the bigger person. I feel small, angry, and, honestly, a little bit betrayed. At work, at home, even in my sleep, this conflict is always there, buzzing at the edge of everything. I can't even taste food without thinking about seating charts and whether I'd have to keep one eye on the exits at my own reception. I realize, if Dad won't even consider my feelings now, what hope do I have that anything will ever change? Everything comes to a head one rainy Saturday afternoon. Josh is with me, and after a lot of back and forth, I decide it's time to confront my dad in person. I need him to look me in the eye and finally hear me. Not just as his daughter, but as an adult who deserves respect. We show up at his house, hearts pounding, and find him watching TV like it's any other weekend. When I tell him we need to talk, he barely glances up, but there's this heaviness in the room like everyone knows what's coming. I start as calmly as I can, explaining why Rick can't be at my wedding. I lay it all out, what Rick did, how it made me feel, how I still carry that anxiety around with me. I don't hold back, because I can't anymore. For the first time, I watch my dad actually listen, at least for a minute. His face flickers with something like guilt, but then his jaw sets, and the walls go back up. "He's my brother," Dad repeats, more quietly this time. "You can't ask me to cut out my own family." I tell him, "I'm not asking you to cut him out of your life. I'm asking you to protect me at my wedding." Josh finally chimes in, backing me up, saying this isn't about drama. It's about safety and respect. That's when Rick himself, who apparently dropped by just to say hi, walks in. There's this horrible, frozen silence. I feel sick, exposed, like every secret I've carried is suddenly on display. Rick tries to act casual, cracks a joke, but no one laughs. Dad won't look at me, and Rick shrugs. "It's just a party, right?" Something in me snaps. I tell Rick, in front of everyone, that he's not welcome and why. His face goes red, then cold. He denies everything, blames misunderstandings, and my dad looks trapped, like a man being torn in half. Josh puts his arm around me. For the first time, I know exactly whose side he's on. After that day, nothing feels the same. The confrontation with Dad and Rick is all I can think about, replaying in my head on a never-ending loop. Every time my phone buzzes, my stomach twists. I start getting terse texts from my dad. "You need to apologize to Rick. Don't air family business. You're overreacting." Each message chips away at something inside me. The house feels tense, like a storm that never quite breaks. Josh does his best to support me, cooking my favorite meals, making me laugh when I start spiraling, reminding me that he's with me no matter what. But I can see it in his eyes. This isn't what he signed up for. My anxiety leaks into our relationship. Every time we talk about wedding details, it feels hollow, like we're just going through the motions. I start questioning everything. Was I wrong to make this a hill to die on? Should I just let Rick come, keep my head down, and survive a few hours for the sake of family peace? I bounce between self-doubt and stubborn defiance. Then I remember the years I spent swallowing my discomfort to keep everyone else happy. I promised myself I'd never do that again. Not for anyone. My relationship with Dad, once already complicated, now feels almost unrecognizable. He acts cold, distant, like I'm the disappointment for not forgiving and forgetting. I feel angry, but beneath that is a deep ache, a child's wish that her dad would just put her first for once. Josh tries to convince me not to let this ruin everything, but he never says I should back down. If anything, he's the one who keeps repeating, "This is your day. If you don't feel safe, it's not happening." His loyalty is the one thing that gives me any strength, but even that can't quite patch the growing rift between me and my dad. The wedding feels further away than ever, almost like it belongs to someone else. It happens on a Tuesday. I'm staring at the wedding checklist, supposed to be picking out last-minute floral arrangements, but all I can see is that empty pit in my stomach. I set my phone down, look at Josh, and finally say it out loud. I don't want to do this. Not like this. The weight of it, saying the words, makes me want to cry and scream and laugh all at once. Josh pulls me close. He tells me he loves me, that he wants to marry me, but not if it means sacrificing my safety and my peace of mind. He says, "We can do this our way, whenever you're ready. Or not at all. It's up to you." For the first time in weeks, I feel like I can breathe. I call my dad. My hands are shaking so hard, I nearly drop the phone. When he answers, I tell him simply and clearly, "I'm calling off the wedding. I can't have Rick there, and you've made it clear that you won't respect that boundary. So there won't be a wedding, at least not right now." He's stunned. For a long moment, there's only silence. Then he starts in with the guilt. "You're overreacting. This is family. You'll regret this." I tell him I've spent too long regretting putting other people's comfort over my own safety. I hang up before he can say anything else. Next, I call my closest friends, one by one, and tell them the news. Some are shocked, some aren't. Lila comes over with wine and takeout, and lets me ugly cry on her shoulder. Josh and I send out a mass message to our guests. The wedding is postponed. I don't get into the details, but everyone who knows me, they know. For the first time in this whole nightmare, I feel something close to relief. Pain, too, but also, maybe, a little hope that I finally chose myself. The fallout is immediate and messy. My phone blows up with messages, some supportive, some not so much. Dad doesn't call, but he sends a blistering email about family shame and broken traditions. Rick, unsurprisingly, doesn't reach out at all. My aunt tries to play peacemaker, urging me to just let bygones be bygones. But I'm done pretending everything's fine when it's not. There are a few friends who distance themselves, probably because they can't handle the drama or think I've overreacted. But then there are people who surprise me. Old college friends, co-workers, even Josh's mom, sending texts, dropping by, letting me know they respect my decision and that they're in my corner. It hurts to lose anyone, but it also shows me who's really there for me. The hardest part is watching the disappointment flicker across Josh's face when we tell extended family the news. He's sad, and I know he was looking forward to celebrating with everyone, but he never once makes me feel like I've let him down. He keeps saying, "We can get married anytime, anywhere. All I want is you." Dad, on the other hand, goes radio silent. I hear from my cousin that he's furious, blaming me for destroying the family, as if I'm the villain in his story. It stings, but less than I expected. Maybe because for the first time, I'm choosing not to carry his anger or his disappointment. I start to realize how much of my life I've spent doing just that, putting everyone else's comfort before my own. The wedding vendors are sympathetic, but my inbox is a graveyard of lost deposits and awkward apologies. Still, the relief of knowing I won't have to look over my shoulder on my wedding day makes every sunk cost feel strangely worth it. The days after the cancellation blur together. Quiet mornings with too much coffee, restless nights, hours lost to staring at the ceiling and thinking about everything that's changed. At first, there's guilt. I replay every conversation with my dad, searching for a way I could have said things differently, for some secret path that could have kept both my boundaries and my family intact. But the more distance I get, the clearer it becomes. Protecting myself wasn't just reasonable, it was necessary. There are moments when regret creeps in. Like when I pass the venue we booked or find a half-written vow in my notes app. I wonder what the wedding might have been like if things were different, if my dad had stood up for me instead of for Rick. But then I remind myself that this wasn't just about one day. It was about drawing a line after a lifetime of swallowing pain for the sake of peace. Josh is my anchor through all of it. We have long, honest talks about family, about boundaries, about what our future could look like now that we've already weathered a storm together. He reassures me that he loves me even more for standing up for myself. Lila makes sure I don't spend too many nights alone, and I slowly let myself lean into the support from friends who never asked me to apologize for needing safety. Gradually, the anxiety eases. I start therapy, work through the tangled mess of anger and hurt, and, little by little, begin to feel whole again. For the first time in years, I realize I'm not defined by my family's dysfunction. I can build something new, maybe even something beautiful, on my own terms. Now that some time has passed, I can honestly say canceling the wedding was both the hardest and bravest thing I've ever done. I won't lie. There are still days when I mourn the version of my life where my dad had my back, or where family meant safety and unconditional support. But there's also a new kind of peace in my life, the kind that comes from finally choosing myself over other people's comfort. If anyone reading this is facing toxic family dynamics or pressured to compromise their boundaries for the sake of family, please know this. You're not selfish for protecting your peace. You're not dramatic or ungrateful for wanting safety on your wedding day, or any day. It's not your job to make everyone else comfortable at your own expense. I learned that drawing a boundary will upset people who benefit from you not having any. I learned that you can grieve the family you wish you had, and still celebrate the one you choose for yourself. And I learned that, even when things fall apart, you can still find love, support, and a future that feels like yours. Josh and I are still together, stronger, actually. We're dreaming of a tiny, backyard ceremony with just the people who truly love and respect us. For now, I'm taking things one day at a time, building a life where I come first in my own story. So, AITA for canceling my wedding because my dad wouldn't respect my boundaries? I don't think so. If anything, I wish I'd learned sooner that sometimes the only way to move forward is to walk away.